Hi, I'm Michael Weatherly.
And I'm Cote DePablo.
And this is
Off Duty.
And today, Season 3, Episode 17, Ravenous.
Yeah.
We're going to be exploring this episode.
Yeah, we've got a kind of a guest / friend to both of us. Her name is Rachel Good, and she did wardrobe for NCIS. For many years, she's still actually doing it.
And she did wardrobe before that for a show called Jag. Jag.
And you'd never know it because she's so damn delish.
The exciting thing about having Rachel join us is we're going to be able to, I think, go to a place that this podcast has not gone before. We're going to go deep. We're going to go into what, they say clothes makes the man, but makes the person, makes the human. That's the old saying, but the correct, current, and forevermore saying is, clothes are so important, and they are much more than any of you have any understanding of until you delve into this episode. Cote DePablo, should we introduce our guest?
Yes, we should. Well, for me, it's kind of an easy one because she's not only a dear, dear friend. We've gone through ups and downs in life and shared a lot of things. She knows a lot about me. I think a little too much. A lot more than she'd probably like. And she's a terrifically talented lady by the name of Rachel Good.
Ladies and gentlemen, with no further ado, let's bring her in here into our little world of excitement and fun. Rachel Good.
Welcome to Off Duty, an NCIS Rewatch podcast. This week on the show, we're talking Season 3, Episode 17, Ravenous. In a national park, a bear eats a part of the body of a murdered Navy petty officer. Gibbs and the company investigate. A female companion has disappeared. The gang deduce her identity. Ziva finds her, and Gibbs nails the killer.
Hi, Rach.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. And I've never done this before, so watching you guys do the intro was thrilling. A little nerve-wracking, but
are you a little nervous?
I'm a little nervous. Yeah, just a ton of it.
Wait, I think this is going to make it all better. So to all of you guys who don't know, Michael was on the show long before I was on the show, and I joined Season 3, and one of the first people I ever met was Rachel Good. She's been doing this since, how old were you when you first started in wardrobe?
Jag, I think I was 29.
I mean, you were so young. You've been doing it forever and ever and ever, and you still look so beautiful. I can't believe it. What do you think? But I have one thing that I want to do because I know that it will just get you right in the mix, right in the mix of it all. So to all of you listening, I apologize beforehand. But every single day before going into work, Rachel would call me and I would pick up the phone and I would literally go, "Lovely lady." And that was the way we started our conversation. And it still happens today. So I want you to do one of those for me just before we... I'm going to put you on the spot. No one wants to hear that. A guttural share. Give me a guttural share one. Come on.
Lovely lady.
Oh, okay, you didn't go deep, but that was good.
I couldn't go deep with all this accoutrement.
Okay.
Please cut that. Thank you. I feel better now.
Cut anything.
I'm sweaty now. All right.
How about we start tackling some of the show with Rachel with us?
I'd love to.
You want to? So
yeah.
We're going to make her a part of this, which, by the way, we never do with our guests. So we're going to do something that we call flashback. It's time for a flashback. At the time of this episode's release, which was March 7th, 2006, a new species of shark, the white margin fish smooth hound, is discovered in Mexico's Sea of Cortez. Have you ever heard about this? I know the Sea of Cortez. I could barely talk. Poland confirmed its first case of bird flu virus. This was 2006. That was a big deal, remember?
Wow, yeah.
Avian flu, sure.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember, and this is something very funny, and it will give you insight as to like the relationships that we build on this set. I went to South America at some point, and there was something called Tamiflu. Remember Tamiflu? which was a
Yes.
medicine that apparently used to and there was this whole thing going on like, oh my God, so many people, you can get it and you can die. And I remember you could go to the pharmacy and you could get just like, not a lot because obviously everything was like on shortage. And I remember going there and I think I got one for Rachel, one box for Rachel and one box for Michael. And I just got back and I was like, you need something to save your life. Like I was so excited that I had this antidote that I was like, I was going to save you guys.
That's why I married a doctor.
Oh,
I can get Tamiflu anytime I want now.
Oh God, you're so good. You see, you're smart. Reese Witherspoon and Philip Seymour Hoffman win Best Actress and Actor at the 78th Academy Awards for their respective roles in Walk the Line and Capote. Remember that?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
And do you remember her acceptance speech? Wasn't this the one where she was with her husband at the time and her husband actually like presents her and then at that point he talked about how she was paid more than he was? Wasn't that it was like a very kind of like a classic moment in sort of Oscar history where people sort of addressed like the fact that one got paid more than the other and they were both at the time married. Anyway, it was a funny bit. Episode synopsis.
I love you in those glasses.
Half-eaten marine is found in the national park. Do you remember this in the show?
Yes.
Okay, so the episode is about that. It's about a bear. It's about a bear. A bear is the main suspect, but it turns out there's a serial killer. Tony and Ziva flirt with respective park rangers. Do you remember this? Because I actually had a really had a chuckle. It's a big area to patrol.
Yeah, unless you like to exercise.
Well, as a matter of fact, I'd like to walk.
Our boss would like any records you have on deaths in the park.
Yes, we drove up into the Angeles National Forest to shoot this episode.
Yes, but you were doing something that was really funny.
I deny that. I did not do anything.
No. I mean, Tony DiNozzo was flirting with the park ranger girl, and I was flirting with armpit hair woman, and I was flirting with the other one who turns out to be the killer, and but you do something in the squad room which is so funny, and we make the entire delivery of exposition about jealousy.
Yes.
And it's something that's not written, and we just do it. And and it's funny because I clocked it, and it's very good because she's actually having a little bit of fun with it. He's not. He's full blown like 100% there, and he's not cool with it. And she's just kind of like, playing a little bit, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yes, that is absolutely one of those things that would happen, where we would change the tone of a scene as written, because we would infuse it with our sort of what we felt the characters were doing. And then it would set all the guest stars would be like, what are they doing?
Right.
That's not the scene.
Yeah.
Why are they so crazy?
Yeah. Do you remember shooting this episode?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you do?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Remember the bear photos? I remember that day so
Oh my
well.
God. Yeah,
The bear and the berries.
I remember shooting this episode too for personal reasons. For me, it was a tough one, but I'll leave it at that.
I will also tell you that a year later, I went to Australia for the Logies, and the clip that they played when I was in front of the Logies is like the Australian Emmys, right?
Oh, wow.
And I was a presenter and sort of co-hosting in a capacity.
Didn't you go there with your niece? With
Alex Breckenridge,
Yes,
with Alexander Breckenridge, but the clip that they showed was from this episode with the armpit hair in the squad room.
So I was thinking about this weekend, and
About trying camping?
I just remember I was with these two guys who were radio DJs in Australia at the time, Hamish and Andy. And I was getting ready to do an interview with them after they showed the clip. And while the clip was showing, they were like, your show's crazy. Like, I thought you did some crime procedural thing. Why is your show so crazy? And I'm like,
Because that's the show.
Because nobody realizes that NCIS is not a glum, dour, we sit and just the facts, ma'am kind of show.
No.
It's a comedy. What did somebody say? Somebody recently said, it was Jesse Stern that we were talking to, who said that MASH was a comedy set in a war, and we were doing a comedy set in a military drama, but we were doing a military drama as if it was a comedy.
Right.
And it,
Right.
he had this great, it is the twist. If somebody's never seen those first, however many seasons, they can misunderstand what it is we've been up to, because it's not find the evidence, there are the clues. There's a strange Scrubs thing going on. We could have broken into song almost at any moment.
Yeah, it could have turned into Glee at any given.
Yeah, that's true.
Gibbs shoots the serial killer in the butt. Remember this?
Yes, I do. And I remember shooting that. That was at Disney Ranch, though. That was a different location.
That was a totally different location, yeah. What do you remember shooting about this episode? Any behind-the-scenes stuff?
I want to mention, can I say something about
Yes.
the underarm hair?
Oh.
So when you read the script, you're like, I don't even know how they wrote that. But when we got to actually having to figure out how to do that, first of all, the uniform was a rental. And anything that you rent, if you damage it, you pay 10 times the rental amount.
Oh, my
so we're like,
God.
what are we going to do? When you wear a tie with a uniform, you're wearing a long sleeve shirt. So when you talk about sometimes trying to maintain regulations, and then sometimes you have to break the rules for what's scripted, we're like, okay, we got to give her a short sleeve shirt. Well, when I cut the sleeves on a woman's shirt, you couldn't see the underarm hair. So when you watch that scene, you'll notice the armhole is much bigger. Quickly realize better use a men's shirt. So when people write things, it's up to us to figure out how to get it done. And throughout the course of this episode, you'll notice the bare ravaged body. Of course, we had to do the clothes and ravage them and make them bloody. So everything that you see, including the background at the Jackrabbit Slim diner, all those people had to go through our department.
A slice of heaven. Or not.
So it's not just dressing Cody and Michael and Mark and Sean and Polly and everyone. It's the entire show. And that means sometimes removing a sleeve for a hair gag, which involves makeup. So then it's talking to makeup about, okay, we got a bigger, birth here that you can see in. And if you notice her hair, and I remember them like discussing, like, should it be curled? Like there was so much of it. It was just, and your look when it's revealed is just
but it's like a look
good.
of shock, and then also like there's like this like uncontainable laughter that happens, which is so
exactly.
funny. It's so like revealing of the character too. And
Totally.
I remember you shooting that, Michael, and having so much fun with that moment, which made it so much fun for me to watch. And now that I look back at that, I remember being there when you were shooting it, and I'm not even in the scene. I'm not even supposed to be there, which is so funny. I stayed to watch the scene only because it was such a funny scene. And then you kept on having so much fun that then I couldn't leave. And then I was just like, just a spectator when I could have been in my trailer, like taking a nap, doing something. I was like, no, I'm going to stay here. This is good.
You got to see the armpit hair. And so one of the final things I wanted to get into is the confusion, the chaos, the calamity of, we have Act 1. We do not have Act 2. We are shooting. It's Act 1.
Yeah.
And we shoot the second day of Act 2, of Act 1 tomorrow, and we don't know what we're shooting Wednesday. Say it's a Monday and we're shooting. And you also don't know if the person you're dressing in Act 1 is going to end up being the bad guy. Do we need to double that? Are there going to be stunts for that person?
Exactly.
Are there?
Such a good point.
So in that, we've talked a little bit about the chaos and the confusion, but that was kind of, Don sat down sometimes to rewrite a script, or if he was writing a script fresh, and he would just start, but we didn't know where he was going. So I just wonder, in your department, and if Paul had any experience with that and was able to talk to you about that.
how did we prepare for that? There were times where we by the fourth act, we realized Ziva is stunt doubled. And then I'm running around Los Angeles trying to find pants that look the same or similar for a stunt person who may have been, bigger than she was. So again, I feel like not having Amazon then made our job so much more difficult. And it was hours crawling through the malls in every single store because you just never knew what you might come across. And that, especially for Polly, especially for Cody's clothes, trying to do, cargo pants were not in abundance. The first cargo pants you wore were military issue. And I just tried on a million pairs until we got one that looked pretty good. And then I think we altered them, on your body. So my point being that you guys are working, you're tired, you're, there really early. You don't know, you're trusting us to say, I'm going to prepare you for what's next. I would call you and say, oh, by the way, you're going to be in a bathing suit in 2 episodes. I kind of got word or
a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, or a Hawaiian shirt. Exactly. And I, to this day, I will still call the actors and say, heads up, looks like you're, doing this. And they're grateful. So I think the trust that you guys have in us and then the trust that we have in you, like, I want you to be happy and I want you to be comfortable. Those cement floors are hell on your feet and your legs 10 years in. And we soon... Sean Murray for a long time was like, I just want to be comfortable because my legs get sore. So he was wearing these Merrill shoes forever.
Very proby.
Yes,
very proby.
Very proby. Not our favorite shoes, but they're so comfortable. And then at the end of the day, you're like, well, the show is shot pretty high and tight. You're never going to see him.
I think they were consistent with the proby, though.
Yeah. But I mean, to be honest and not to call him out, but this past season, he wore them a few times because they're just comfortable and they're good at a crime scene.
By the way, if I were like behind the desk, I'd wear like loafers. I'd wear Ugg boots. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be like,
Completely.
I'd be the most comfortable.
Same with Michael.
No?
Same with Michael. And
I
then you
would be
guys always
barefoot.
knew. Yeah. Where the camera's coming
You have to see
from.
the entire outfit, then you just, but if you're going to be there and you've
put it
got
on.
a couple of scenes
Well,
where you sit down
sometimes-
behind a desk.
Sometimes if you're doing coverage over somebody and they would have somebody, they want to put an apple box or quarter apple or like a little bit of a riser so somebody could be taller. I would turn to Billy Webb and I'm like, are you doing that just because I'm a half inch too tall? And I would just take off my shoes and then I'd come down just a little bit. So I would just not be wearing shoes during the coverage, with somebody, and that would just even it out.
And that would even the
I mean,
eyeliner,
when it was
right?
and by the way, like it's so funny to even say that, but even that is like I'm going to do something different. Like I'm going to take off my shoes during the scene, and that became
more
like a
grounding.
little nugget. That became like a little nugget for the day. Like, what did you do today, Michael? Different. I took my shoes off for that scene.
Now, Rachel Good, can I just tell you, I started my NCIS adventure on JAG.
Right.
Because we did 2 episodes, Meltdown and Ice Queen, in what I believe was season 8
maybe
of JAG. Yeah. So when I came in to do what was my pilot episode, Mark Harmon, David McCallum, Polly Perrette, and I, and
Robin Lively, right?
I had just come from Australia. I had just come from playing Robert Wagner. Hello, which is a little weird. We'll get into that later.
Yes.
How weird it is. But I had just gotten off a plane and I had to come straight into wardrobe without getting into it too much. You were not the person in charge of my wardrobe.
No.
At that time.
No.
Even though you were part of the JAG wardrobe team with Paul, who, may he rest in peace, was an extraordinary, beautiful human.
Right.
And your boss for quite some time. I came in and we were doing the wardrobe and they had a bunch of stuff. And I was like, no, I don't like that. And I went, and they were like, no. You don't have a choice. It's this. And I said, no. This is my pilot. Like I got all Michael Weatherly about it. And I was, all about DiNozzo. And to me, the wardrobe of DiNozzo was so specific and important to the thing. And I had this whole like outlook for the character and the guy and the hair and how I wanted him to be. And I just wanted to ask before we go into our further explorations. It reminds me of a later episode of NCIS where there was someone in the armory department who did not like DiNozzo because he was a little bit too into his clothes and his wardrobe, and well, his holster, for instance, was part of the problem. Was I a bit problematic when I came onto the show? I'm just wondering if you heard any because I'm, in the Wayback Machine, I'm open to understanding that I could be
Rachel,
a little bit brassy.
I hope you know that this podcast, our number one rule is honesty is the best policy. So you can actually
you're allowed to say what you really thought.
Especially if Michael is actually asking for it, because it's a very rare occurrence that you go full out and you go, was I difficult?
No, in fact, at that time, watching the older shows, it's funny because I thought your voice wasn't coming through in those earlier shows. And it seems as though the boys were putting you in clothes that weren't necessarily the DiNozzo look that we have come to know and love. And in the very beginning, there were striped shirts. Now, granted, it was the early 2000s, but I feel like your recollection is that you were standing up, but I feel like at that time we were probably working from a higher direction, meaning you may have said you wanted something, but Don Belisario may have given other instructions at that time because he really was the captain of the ship. So you were never difficult. And as we all learned about the characters together, we were able to evolve your costumes. And we can talk about Cody in that respect. And right. I think you absolutely were finding your groove. Like, I completely think DiNozzo is suit James Bond tailored,
Right. But can I also point out, and I've mentioned this in a couple of pieces we've done before, and today I played golf and I was wearing a hat, and I came right into this interview and I have hat head. But what I noticed in Ravenous is that I have hat head all over the beginning of this episode because I'm wearing a hat. But we played hat head. We played, like, when you're wearing a hat and you take it off, your hair doesn't look perfect. Right. But on Jag, when David James Elliott was coming into a room, he had his cover outside the room. But when he came in, he would just be holding his cover so that he could take it off, and Carla Dean's hair would look perfect.
Exactly.
Like an American werewolf in London. And I'm remembering, as I watched Ravenous and as I'm talking to you today, there was such a marked difference before we jump into the next thing. That transition from JAG to NCIS, I want you to talk a little bit about what the difference was in terms of military dress. And because when you were doing the Navy guys, they needed to be adherent to those codes, and it was called a cover.
Exactly.
But I wore a hat. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And so just if you could expand on that a little bit, just briefly give us a little shakedown on that.
Well, coming from JAG, it was a full uniform show. It would be a rare occasion when they went into what we call civvies or civilian clothes. So we called it Don's Navy. I mean, we were making Navy whites. We were absolutely always, our goal has been to stay current with the regulations of the military. So working on JAG in that respect, we were hyper focused on the tailoring, the fit, the lines that a camera will draw on. When we got to your pilot, we also realized that aesthetically, the tailoring is important. The routine, the ritual, meaning for Gibbs, for example, being a former Marine, that white T-shirt came into play because as a Marine, you would wear that white T-shirt. So we're implementing some of the military aspects into his civilian wardrobe. And you came in and, I mean, so good looking. What do you do with this guy? You know? And so honestly, for a little while, I was like, try a hoodie. Try
good looking.
He good looking. What do you do with this guy? Well, and so the guys dressing him, it looks like you had a suit and I think you had a suit and Ravenous, and then like maybe you went to a button front shirt, and then you kind of had a zip front sweater. So we were still kind of finding your look. And I think the tailoring and the fact that we had a 4-person tailor shop at that time is kind of the most visual takeover from JAG to NCIS.
What about David McCallum and Polly Perrette?
Very, very different. I mean, when I read the pilot and she was scripted as goth, I thought, you know, what is that, a dog collar and a black thermal? And so it allowed some creative kind of playtime in the tailor shop because stuff like that wasn't out there. For David McCallum, you know, he was a doctor, so it was scrubs. And then we realized, and this is where I think Paul taught me a really helpful thing that has carried me through my career. My job is to make you comfortable in clothing so you can do your job. So if you're futzing and pulling, you can't do your job. You know what I mean? If you're not comfortable in your clothing. So David McCallum, for example, real quickly, he was always a student. He started watching, or maybe he always noticed that doctors wear blue suits. So he eventually got to the point where he literally only wore a navy blue suit, sometimes a pinstripe suit, and he would then vacillate between basically a blue shirt, you know, and change the bow tie. So he got into a uniform. With Polly, we realized the longer we went on, kind of the shorter the skirt, the higher the ratings, which is crazy, you know, crazy, but true. And so each character, you know, for a long time, it bothered me that Gibbs' pants had like a quadruple break, like they pooled. But that was something that he brought in, I think maybe from the Westerns that he wore, you know, I'm not exactly sure where he got that. But now, it's funny, 20 years later, that is absolutely the style. And at the time, it was like, we have a tailor shop and there's more than a double break, or his sleeve lengths would be long. And that was a personal choice on his part. So we would always work with you guys to try and, you know, find a place where you guys are comfortable so that you could do your job.
And Gibbs wanted to look off the rack, right? Gibbs wanted to look like not a guy who gave two hoots about what he was wearing.
Exactly.
He just grabbed whatever was there. Whereas Donoso was more somebody who was dressing for effect.
Right.
So like, what do you remember about Cody coming onto the show?
The first thing is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Cody, but I think that you two had your screen test and then you came straight to wardrobe. And I somehow got a call from somebody that said, your chemistry was incredible. And in my mind, I feel like I spoke to Michael. I'm not sure if I did. We were electrified at the notion that this new girl was coming in and we didn't know a whole lot about it. So I might get a little blurb that she was Mossad and she was an agent and, you know, she'd just come kind of to the country, to America. So after your screen test, she came to a fitting and I had like everything from trench coats to berets to high heels to slacks to skirts, a million different things. And Cody looked and still looks incredible in everything.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure.
So we played dress up. And
did.
If I had the Polaroids for years and I'm sure I could dig them up somewhere, but everything, I'd be like, put this on, try this. And she'd put it on and strike a pose and I'd snap a Polaroid. It's like we together discovered. And as the episodes went on, we realized, oh, she's always got a knife on her, which brought in the cargo pants.
And notice, you know, it's really funny because I was tracking season 3.
Yes.
There's a couple of episodes where you've got me on like a heel, like a pump. And
The Prada
I realized
pump.
that at some point, like the pump went away and then we did kind of like a boot that had a little bit of a heel. But that went away rather quickly because we realized the character's on her feet and she has to be readily available to jump to like fighting and all that stuff. And it was just not going to work.
Exactly. And we learned that together as the character was, developed. We realized, well, those skirts don't work. You look incredible in them. But what I always said to Cody is clothes for function. Like this is, it's not a fashion show, but you guys are agents and you got to be able to run. You can't have hoop earrings that, a perpetrator could pull out. You've got to have clothes for function. So having Cody come in, absolutely looked incredible in everything. In fact, her very first scene on set, she was in cargo pants, an old desert boot, and we were rehearsing, and Don Belisario called up to the costume department and said, I want to put her, remember, in a headscarf, in a wrap. And I was like, what? Like, I don't have anything that's going to look cool. Ran into the tailor shop, came out with a strip of muslin, and Cody, on her first day on set, bent her head over, wrapped it up, and you guys rolled.
Hi. I was just...
Having phone sex?
It was that kind of trust. She looked at me, he's like, does this work? I was like, yes, like, I can't believe you just did that. Like, that was one of the most thrilling kind of pressure, stress-induced, like, to get a call from Don Belisario that he wanted something else and you guys were about to roll was so stressful. And
do you know, I think it also had to do with Cody's widow's peak.
100%. They didn't know what to do with the widow's peak.
Episode on the widow's peak, but I think that was one of the things, Rach, that gave us a connection from the get-go, is that we kind of rolled with it, and it's so true. You played dress up with me, like I was in many ways your little doll, and I'd go in there, and we'd just have so much fun. You'd be like, "Oh, try me dolls," and you'd throw something at me, and then I'd put it on, and then she'd start clicking away, and she was like, "Oh my God, that looks so good," and I remember having so much fun from the get-go, seeing like how we were going to create this character from a clothing standpoint together, and the things that were cool, the things that would work. Obviously, the first season, we knew that the skirts weren't going to go. And of course, if you needed to wear a skirt for something particular, you would. But then the pumps and the high heels and all that stuff wouldn't work. We played around with a little bit of that in season 3. And I think by season 4, season 5, season 6, it was pretty much determined that like the trench, the cargos, we went through a lot in that show too, I feel. From a personal standpoint, like there were, of course there was the inevitable discussion of wardrobe, which, by the way, I was going to go back to one of the first questions I wanted to ask when you were talking about David McCallum and Polly Perrette and everyone else. What people don't know is that most characters, most actors on the show had these massive rooms, wardrobe rooms. Like, I remember once you took me into Polly Perrette's, Abby Shuto, wardrobe, closet. Can you describe a little of that? Because I think a lot of people don't understand how big of a closet these things were, really.
We would do 24 episodes a season. So that means a new script every 8 weekdays. So every week we're working on new costumes. So while you guys are shooting an episode, we are preparing the next episode. So what that means is each character has a closet, and in that closet, we dress from head to toe. So from bras and underwear down to socks and shoes. And what we would do is you would be on set filming, and don't forget, I would have to call and say, can you please come up to fit for the next episode? You guys would not have read the episode yet. So I would have read it and given you a little, debriefing on what's going on. So in that closet that all of you had, in trying to create kind of real characters, we would want to reuse pieces. And so you're right, Cody. Your first season, we're kind of all over the place. I saw button-down shirts. I saw printed T-shirts. I saw skirts. I saw high heels. As the network gave notes for a while, it was like, more color on Cody, more color on Cody. Let's try different things. I would go back to the closet and try and pull clothes that would work for what was scripted. We always have to shop. And back then there was no Amazon. So if, it was July and they wanted you in leg warmers, it was run around Los Angeles looking for leg warmers, right?
Or
So-
would you go into the closets of JAG and everything else? Because
Well,
one
we
of the
have
fun,
that too. Yes.
right? You sort of have a back stock, because I can remember back in the 90s doing movies and TV shows, and I would be wearing a piece of clothing that would it would say inside the label another actor
Yes.
from another show.
All the time.
And
Called our
sometimes
stock room. Yeah.
and sometimes I would be doing a scene with somebody in season 9 and I'd look at their suit and I'd say, I remember that suit. Because these things would get recycled. And so it is, there's a little Easter egg for some of the fans that
All
watch
the
the show.
time.
And it's not necessarily out of cheapness, but it's also out of like, hey, we only have like 24 hours to put together,
Literally.
Don suddenly says, I want a room full of CIA agents.
Exactly.
And you're like, how do I put all these people? Now, before we go back into it, when you do have ND background or you have maybe day players or something, do they wear their own clothes sometimes, or are you fitting them all?
It depends on the scene. If we are in Afghanistan and we need, local looking people, we're definitely fitting them. If we are in a bar in Virginia, maybe they're wearing their own clothes. But we have a dedicated trailer that is stocked for background actors. We have a huge warehouse stocked with clothing separate than your principal actors' closets that we dress guest stars from. So if you're a guest star on the show, I am embarrassed to say this, Michael, but we still have so many beautiful Brooks Brothers suits of yours that, of course, if we get that size, sometimes we'll pull and say, here's a beautiful suit, and I will be the first to say that I have pulled out little teeny tiny little cheat sheets of dialogue from inside pockets.
Wait, you know what I used to call them? Origami.
Origami, a little
Because
origami.
you would fold them up perfectly.
Fold them so tiny.
Yeah, and they were tiny.
And then highlight them.
Yeah, and then you would highlight them, and you always knew they were Cherise. They were always, sometimes they were triangle, sometimes they were rectangle, whatever they were. But he would have them in his palm. I have no idea how you read them. Maybe because you were much younger or something. But
because we were young and didn't wear glasses.
Yeah, and he would be like running around, whatever, and all of a sudden you'd catch Michael just kind of corner of the eye, just kind of pop something from like the pocket, and then I'd be like, "What? Oh my God, that's what he's doing!" So I think people found those scattered around the set and in,
They still
old
do.
pair of pants and
They
suits
still do.
for years to come.
They absolutely still do.
Little nuggets of Weatherly.
I mean, there's Sasha Alexander clothes. There's Lauren Holly clothes. Like everybody. Jamie Lee Curtis. I have her beautiful suits. And so I can reuse, that. It's amazing to be on a show, this show, we're going into season 22. That is unheard of. So even now at season 22, I'm praying that congratulations, by the way, on NCIS, Tony and Ziva. It's such, I've been a fan from the beginning, and I thank you, Michael, for always keeping the dream alive that this would actually happen. And here it is. I mean, I bug you two about it all the time. So I think it's going to be interesting now to see if you two, again, fall right back into your roles and you're like, okay, we're Michael and Cote. And then it's like getting on a bike. Like, I can hardly wait to watch. I can hardly wait.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm curious to ask you this. So one of the things that really happened when Lauren Holly came in and Cote DePablo came in, and the show was, we were a TV show. We were a spinoff of JAG. We were on CBS Tuesday night at 8. We were doing our job. But we weren't in syndication yet in season 3. We were not in, we weren't on USA Network yet. There was no Netflix.
No.
But the show did start, like, if you were out with somebody in 2006 and they said, what do you do for a living? And you said, oh, I do wardrobe on NCIS. They would say, what's that?
Right.
I mean,
They
most
say
people.
CSI.
So as time kind of moved on, and suddenly the show did start to gain its own kind of momentum, and it was undeniably successful with the spinoff of NCIS LA and then NCIS New Orleans. now it's, someone will say to me, what do you do for a living? And I say, I'm an actor. And they're like, oh, anything I would know? And I say, well, I did a show called NCIS. And they're like, oh, I love NCIS. Who were you on NCIS?
No,
And
don't.
yeah. And I'll say, well, I was DiNozzo. And they're like, with LL Cool J? And I'm like, no, that's NCIS LA. And they go, oh, or they say, no, I love the one in New Orleans. Did you have to live there? I'm like, no, that's not the one that I was on. Because the world has become so big. There's over 1,000 episodes of this franchise now. And so who would have thunk it back when we were shooting, the Bears and the Berries of Ravenous?
Oh my God,
Literally.
what a funny episode. That whole scene between you and the ranger with the armpit hair. Remember how much we laughed? I wasn't even supposed to be there. And I remember just sitting across from you because I was just enjoying this so much. And I couldn't, watching you trying to keep it together. And by the way, kudos to her because she was outstanding. She never once broke. Outstanding. And you were just so funny. I mean, that entire thing. And I'm married. Well, not really. I'm married. That entire bit is just so good. It's just so good. It's like you at the,
At that, the Porky Swine.
The Porky Swine.
I'm married.
Then why'd you ask for my number?
She's dead. It was a pottery accident. Kiln overheated or something.
Did you, Rachel, at some point notice the sort of tectonic shift where the show kind of became a show where if you're shopping for the show, people are like, oh,
yes,
you're shopping for NCIS, as opposed to, I'm sorry, we're closed and we can't open, the store for you.
And I may be wrong, but I think we maybe made it to number 1, like season 7.
No, season 4.
Oh, it's season 4?
Season 4 was the first time we hit it on a weekly.
Okay.
But in terms of a seasonal number 1, it was later. But the first time we were ever number 1 for the week was in the winter of season 4.
I was in Costa Rica when we got that email, and it was like an email because it was a big deal. And I remember being like at a little tiki bar in Costa Rica and all of a sudden being like, what?
No
like it
way.
was just crazy.
But the important thing to remember about that week, and if those Google friendly people that want to go out there in their time machines and go back and try and find this, if you're particularly interested in this, I, for one, find it totally fascinating because the blurb said champagne corks must be popping at CBS today because NCIS, the little engine that could, was the number 1 show of the week. However, that's because this wasn't on and that wasn't on and it didn't have competition. And they were like, good for you. Very lucky. You'll never do it again. It was like the nerdy kid in right field catching a fly ball. And you're like, oh, good for you. We're so you'll never catch another one. But
yeah, I remember being like, oh, cool. I'll celebrate this because it may never happen again. And I'm cool with it. I like that. I like doing the job and I'm just so blessed to get paid for what I love to do. Yeah. So I was just like, it was just kind of, and by the way, what a great way to sort of accept that win in a way, to just kind of go, oh, fantastic. Well, good. I mean, there's only one place to go
an underdog.
Totally.
We were an underdog all the way. And I agree with you, Cody, so much. Like being part of an underdog it's so satisfying when you get to be Rachel Good, season 22, head of a department of a gigantic show with a legacy that it's not like you came in season 19. Right. Like you have seen the whole, you were there for the Genesis.
Yep.
And you remember Paul.
Yep.
And who was a mentor to you and showed you a lot of the stuff. You were there for all the crazy Belisario years.
Yeah. I mean, she was there while people were going in, people were going out. We were in, then we were out. The new people coming in. We're talking about actors. We're talking about, you've seen it all. You've seen that set go through many changes.
I wanted to also touch on this because I was thinking today on the golf course. Hi there.
Hi there.
I'm wearing one of those William Murray golf shirts right now.
Oh my God. It's so good.
Which is
it's so good.
I love the Bill Murray line. But you know, the idea of, so if you have a scene and it's Saturday morning, but the team's been called in. So Tony's in his sweatshirt and Ziva's come in from the gym and but we've been called in because there's a dead Marine somewhere. They petty officer in whatever the park is, right? Rock Creek Park. And even Gibbs might be coming in from his basement dressed in sweatpants or so. He was at the gym or whatever.
Yeah.
That you could never, you had to dress the people for the reality of the day, but you never wanted to dress them in anticipation of what was going to happen in the script.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if you knew that Ziva was going to have a fight sequence, you didn't want to dress her in something that was going to look like like you could see her and be like, oh, there's going to be a fight sequence. Because look at, she's wearing that
got
outfit.
long sleeves on. Yeah.
She's in her superhero outfit.
But you are reading that script and breaking it down, and you're almost coming at it from an actor's point of view in a way, or a writer's point of view. You're an extension of that storytelling. Like, how does that?
Good question. We would get the scripts sometimes at night, sometimes in the morning. So you guys are down on set working on a script. And then we would get what they call the writer's draft, or sometimes even an outline. And all of a sudden it's like, Tony and Ziva are undercover and they're going, to a black tie event. So Abby, it's her birthday. Ducky goes to the opera, Lauren. I would read on paper, the paper script, and take notes. So on all the actors, here she gets shot. So we're going to need doubles for that. Here we're going to need something fancy. So while you guys are filming, we're scouting and preparing for the next episode that you guys haven't even read yet. So when Cody would say I would kind of act it out, she had no idea what the script was about, because you guys don't get the script until it's a shooting script. I have read the writers. So I would kind of say, okay, you're going to pull a knife out of here. So that's why the cargo pants. And then this boot, you have to cross the top of a train. So I'm going to put you in this. Or you're going on the ship and you need a rubber sole. Or, whatever scenario, I could look ahead, hopefully, and try and anticipate what Cody might feel comfortable in and what would, work, for example, for sound. Like, even talking about being in an evening gown, trying to figure out where to put the microphone. As I mic'd myself for these things today, I thought of you guys. It's like we always were hoping for some tiny little insert of a microphone that didn't have to go through your pant leg, down to your boot, wrap around your ankle, and come back around the other side, or you and your ties, or whatever it is. So I knew the script inside and out. And that's why then watching the show and seeing what you guys do is what really made me realize it has nothing to do with the clothes. The best compliment is that nobody notices the clothes, and it's actually you guys. And so the chemistry that Sean Murray, that all of you, Brian Dietzen, that all of you have together as an ensemble, and then separately, individually, paired up, and all the guest stars that came through. And we've had so many incredibly famous guest stars, and to dress them.
Talk about dressing Robert Wagner.
Well, he's just one of my favorite people. And we share the same.
You just went like a little red on the face, and you're like, I really love him.
I really love him. We share the same birthday, and I'm so proud to say that he calls me every year on my birthday, which in my heart of hearts, I would never in a million years imagine would even be something that would happen. But that is a legacy to the friendships that we have developed on this show.
Did they have specifically to the real, the people who have worked and worked and worked and worked, whether it's somebody like Peter Coyote or Jaime Lee Curtis or Robert
Maria
Wagner
Bello.
or Bob Newhart or Maria Bello or Lily Tomlin did they ever show you something, or did you get like a little aha tip from somebody about, oh, that's such a good
Jaime
idea.
Lee Curtis, incredible body. And she absolutely knows what works on her. And so whether it was adjusting possibly a pencil skirt to hit at just the right part of her knee, I have a good eye and I can look and I can see. And, we do little tricks like slim the arm on the jacket or the shirt because it looks good on TV. She showed me a nude heel. We know makes your leg longer, but she said it cannot be shiny. And she had me matte spray a nude pump. And so it just sort of disappeared.
Oh, how cool.
And I thought, while I was spraying it, I thought, what am I doing? Is this going to work? And then I saw it on camera and I thought, brilliant. Like, she is so smart.
She's been
knows
around the
her
business
angles
forever.
And she is the person who taught me, if you find something that you like in your life, whether it's tennis shoes or a t-shirt, and you really like it, buy multiples of it because it's guaranteed, like a lipstick, it's going to be discontinued. Yeah. So one day I complimented her on, I think, a yoga jacket and pants. And I was like, God, they just fit her beautifully. It's like you guys kind of come to work in kind of casual clothes because you're going to put on, your costumes. She would come in and even her leggings and jacket were gorgeous. And I told her so. And the next day, on my desk was the jacket and the pants. And I was like, how did you do that?
Yeah. Can we talk about that? Because it's something, it's something that, look, you get to work with people intimately sometimes when you're acting and sometimes you have these really great kind of deep conversations, which then people go their separate ways and then you may never see them again, but you have that instant, you connected in that instant. She was one of those rare people who was not only very open on set, I mean, she came from this incredible background, highly successful person, but also very grounded and such a generous human being. I remember when she left that set, everyone loved her. And not only that, but she gave everyone these almonds. Remember the almonds? Like,
yes.
I will forever hate her and love her for them because I think I ate everyone's almonds. I was like, oh, do you by any chance have any of those Jaime Lee Curtis almonds? Like, I just kept going around and being like, I just love them so much. They were just so delicious. And she made a point to make a little baggie for every single person there. Yeah. It was like, let me just give you a little nugget of my appreciation. And it's a personal detail. It's a personal thing.
Yes.
And,
and she came into the hair and makeup trailer one morning early, as you do at, 6:15 or whatever in the morning. And with this energy. And she was like, okay, everybody, hold on. How do we put music on in this trailer? Yeah. And, we didn't really have a thing, but Joe Haley figured out how to, hook up her phone so that we could all listen to this song that she wanted to play for us. Oh. And it was Gautier's Somebody That I Used to Know.
No.
And it had just come out.
I thought you showed us that song.
You showed me that song in an elevator.
Yeah.
And you were like, Cody, I really need to show you this. And I was like, okay. And I was like, what is this, Shelly?
I completely attribute that song to Michael as well. What are you trying to tell me?
Well, I tip my hat to Jaime Lee Curtis because she not only did she do all these wonderful things, but she also was that generosity of spirit. And there's something really important there. That changed the trailer in the morning. We'd all been working hard and it was maybe day 6 of episode 15 and you're in the dirge and everyone's, it's February or whatever.
You're going on your third cup of coffee. You're like, rescue me.
and she was able to elevate an experience for everybody and bring everybody sort of together on the same team. I thought she was such an extraordinary. Well, I just remember coming into my wardrobe and looking, and I had a conversation with Rachel that I'd maybe put on a couple of pounds over the vacation or something happened. And there was like a Spanx kind of sweatshirt or whatever, like tank top.
Sorry.
and I was like, oh, I should try that on. And so I put it on and it was super tight. And I was like, it's
terrible.
And it was kind of my William Shatner, like season 3 of Star Trek.
Yes.
And I put it on. How much I love you. This is the reason why I love you. Because you keep it so real. Like all of a sudden, Michael would come say after like a vacation and go like, "Honey, can you give me a tank top that's just gonna kind of like spanks me,
Suck everything in.
Can it suck me in? But the problem, and I didn't realize, is that it was so tight that after about 90 minutes on set, I had to take a poo so badly because it had constricted my body. And I was like, I have to go to the bathroom. And I never had to go to the bathroom. I like, because one of the little secrets of show business is you get all that done before you go to work.
You're like,
so that you don't
do that. You don't do that.
You don't do that. You don't go to the bathroom while you're working.
And then your body starts shutting down and people wonder like, what happened to her?
But it was so tight. And I just kind of was so aware that I was constricting all my abs and my muscles and everything that anything in my intestines needed to be evacuated probably within 90 seconds. And I just turned to Paul, the first AD, and I was like, Paul, I'm going to poo now. And he was like, ha, ha, ha. He thought I was being like funny, Michael. And I'm like, no. Like and I sprinted back to my trailer because I was sitting there. I'm like, gosh, what caused this? It was the Spanx. It was the Spanx.
As he's sweating profusely.
Wait. It's very rare that I am surprised by a story because I had not heard this one. This one's one of the ones you kept.
I held it for
a golden nugget only for the podcast.
Only for the Rachel Good podcast.
Everything about you, like, nope. This is brand new. This is brand new to me. A Spanx, what do you call tank top that actually disintegrated you, quite literally.
We probably cut you out of it or pulled it over your head too.
You probably
some
did
sort
have
of
to
memory like that.
Yeah, I couldn't get it off.
I exactly. I feel like.
Wait 1 second. I need a visual. Oh my God.
They had to cut me out of it.
Rachel, I was like, and did Rachel actually physically go to your trailer and get that thing off?
Probably.
It was the jaws of life.
The jaws of life. Oh my God! This is why it's so good. This is why it's so good,
and it's why it's so good. You look so good, Michael. Michael and Cote. We don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You guys look so good.
He's just a boy
and a Spanx.
He had to poo. You have to know. You would too if you wore the Spanx. Okay, sorry. That's my little Spanx. Sorry, it always breaks down into a song at some point.
That was such a good story. Game time.
Let's do game time with Rachel Good.
With Rachel Good, most dangerous animal. In this episode, it first seems like a Marine was eaten by a bear, which would make him extremely unlucky. But there's only one fatal bear attack in North America per year, on average. How many fatal encounters are caused by the following animals in North America per year on average? So, first question, spiders. How many fatal attacks? Spiders, North America. Come on now, Rachel, you know this.
Wait, we don't get an ABC.
Hundreds?
We don't get.
Yeah.
We get nothing. We get nothing. We get nothing. How many? Like, just say, like, if there's one bear attack, how many do you think it's? So I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say 15.
I think it's like 100.
Yeah, maybe more, because the black widow, and then there's the brown recluse.
There's children.
Brown recluse.
Yeah. How many?
What's the answer?
What's the answer?
7.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. I know shark attacks coming up, so let's go.
Okay, let's go shark
So
attack.
cows.
7.
How about cows?
7.
What? Cows?
Chérie, cows.
You mean
When
how many
falls on
people?
Fatal
Wait, you mean
attacks by cows in North America?
Mad cows?
0.
I'm going to go with 4.
I'll take 2. Meet you in the middle.
Okay. How many? 20?
20?
Are you telling me that cows are 5 times more dangerous than spiders?
Basically. How's that for you? Alligators. How about alligators, Chérie?
Ooh.
That's good.
Ooh, I think 20.
I feel like there was just one the other day, maybe in Florida. Let's go with, I don't
Give me a number.
15.
Okay, I'm going to go for 6.
Wow.
Zero
Because I knew
to
they
one.
were low. I knew they were low. Okay, this one's going to be
Zero
a good
to
one.
one.
Okay.
This one's going to be a good one. Mountain lions. I'm going to go for 2. I'm going to say 2, maybe 1.
Me too.
I'm going to go 3. I got to go the over.
Okay, fine.
Take the over.
Oh my God.
Wow.
The answer is 0 to 1 every 5 years.
Crazy.
Mountain lions?
How about deer?
My gosh. Well, deer jump in front of cars and people get killed in that. I would say, I mean, there's so many deer around here. I would say deer have got to be, that's got to be like 25.
How about you, Rach? Come on now. You look lost.
I know. Because he got me with the car. So yeah, I'll go a dozen.
A dozen? I'm going to go
done.
split it in the middle between you two. I'm going to go 17. Why not?
All right. How many deer are responsible for deaths or kill people every year in the United States of America?
What?
200.
Whoa.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Well, I'm glad I won one.
Yeah, you won
did.
one.
That was terrible. New game.
Multiply that by 10. Bonus question. What's the last animal you would want to encounter and why?
Okay. Cody DePablo, what's the last animal you'd want to encounter and why?
Oh, God. I have a few, actually, but probably a bear. Yeah, because if I've read a lot about, the fact that they're so big and they're so, there's very little that you can do, really. Like if you're underwater, I've read if you have the unfortunate thing coming face to face with a shark or something like that, you could try punching them on the nose. Maybe that'll work if you've got the guts to actually face them. But I don't even know if I would,
With a bear, do you climb a tree or play dead?
No, I
don't
mean, I
know.
remember with Mark Harmon, we used to have this conversation and he used to say things like, hey, Coach, you've got to come up to this place, with me, whatever. And I was like, I'm afraid of bears. And he goes, oh God. And he goes, well, what's that? What would you do by any chance if you ran across a bear? And I was like, I don't know. What do you do? And he goes, you kiss your ass goodbye. And I was like,
Mark,
that is so awful. Like, and you really think that's I was like, that's awful. That's just awful. But I hear you just supposed to be quietly supposed to retrieve and just kind of not draw any attention to yourself and just kind of like quietly, But then again, I could be wrong. I don't know. I would not like to be in that kind of situation. How about you, Michael? You look so sad for some reason.
Well, no, I'm just thinking about, I have so many answers. I was going to say an angry human being would be the animal I'd be the most afraid of.
Probably, by the way, you're right about that.
If I were in Africa and there was a giant lion, I wouldn't want to meet a lion one-on-one in some little Serengeti plain thing. A hungry lion, I'm not getting away from that guy. No. And I'm not beating that guy up. No. I feel like I could talk to a bear. I'd be like, hey, come on. So what about you, Rach?
I guess a shark. I mean, I just stick my legs dangling off a surfboard and a shark grabs it.
Spoken like a California girl. She's like just dangling.
And just that. Yes, or scuba diving and you just hear like you're breathing and then out comes a shark. I think that would be so scary.
My Lord.
Oh, this is such a crazy episode of this podcast.
We've hit all the topics.
All of them.
Have we talked about clothing? I don't even know.
Yes, are you kidding me? We've discussed it at length. Now I'm gonna take you into something which we've never done actually with a guest. Fan questions. Cherie, are you ready?
Let's do it.
Oh, fan questions. Jim from Scottsdale, Arizona. Bear with me here. Ha! See what happened? See what happened there? Who made the bear scat for this episode, and what was their official job title description? Thanks.
I believe that would be props.
That would be prop master. Probably George Tours at the time.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Rachel from New Jersey. Jersey City, actually, New Jersey. Was Jack Rabbit Slims in the episode a real place or a set?
It was a set.
It was a set. Of course it was. Nico from Boulder, Colorado. I like your name, Nico. Have you ever been scared to shoot a scene? Oh, yeah. Okay, that's a good question. And I guess the answer for that is sure. Are you kidding me? I'm not sure which one, though. But sure.
What about your final kiss scene when you guys left? Were you afraid for that?
I'm fighting for you, Ziva.
I know. Just, it was so heavy.
No, it
No?
wasn't.
Out of the olive.
No, it was. It wasn't scary. It was sad.
Not scary, but it means so much.
It was sad, and I remember there was something so sad about that. And by the way, we could do an entire episode just on that episode. But but I remember, Michael, you were like, "Hey, do you want something?" And I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" And he goes, "How about like just a little, like you?" No, I asked you. I said, "Michael, do you by any chance have something like? I just want to make it like a celebration, but also because we were like on the last take. Like, do you have like a little wine or something that we could like toast?" And you said, "I think I have like a little tequila." And I was like, "Can I have a little tequila?" And I think I had like a shot of tequila. And you were like, I'm okay. I'm not going to do it, but you can do it. And I was like, I think I'm going to do this because I've never done this working. I've never, ever drank on set, ever. It was my last scene. And I wanted to just have that moment as a celebration. And I remember you gave me a little glass of tequila. And there's this, I don't want to start crying, but there's this great shot of you and I walking, I believe, to your trailer. And we were like, I think I was just like, kind of like putting my head on your shoulder or maybe holding your hand. And it's just like a really sweet picture of both of us, like two friends kind of walking together. And there was like the sun kind of setting and it was the afternoon. It was right before we actually shot the scene. And, yeah, I remember that day very clearly, and lots of things were said that were really quite beautiful, and one day we will maybe possibly discuss.
That was an amazing day.
Not today. Rules. Gibbs rule of the day, number 12, never date a coworker. Your thoughts on this rule?
Rachel?
Never date a coworker. Honestly, it's probably Rachel.
This is
Haven't we all done it? Yeah, don't date a coworker. I'm like, it's like, don't. What's that bear?
I say don't unless you must. Because
unless
life is too
must,
short, and then love is
true.
Love is a real thing. And unless you must, don't. But if you must, then enjoy.
Then enjoy, right. It makes work more complicated.
Oh, sure.
It does.
Are you kidding me? No,
It does.
no doubt about that. Next week, as we look ahead to next week's episode, don't forget that you can watch all of these with us on Paramount Plus, and that you can catch new episodes of NCIS on CBS. Next week on Off Duty, the teenage son of a Marine major arrives to school with a bomb strapped to his body. Oh my God. This is actually a really good episode. This teen takes his classroom hostage with one simple demand: bring his mother to the classroom before sunset. But the investigation takes a turn when the teen discovers that she's dead, having seemingly drowned in a boating accident the year before. They begin to suspect that someone else might be manipulating the youngster. Season 3, episode 18, Bait. Oof.
Rachel Good, it's been so good being with you. And I'm a little sad that our little podcast has come to an end.
Me
but
too.
This was
but
a
I
really
know that
good one. Are you
our
still
friendship
nervous?
goes on.
No, I
You see?
can. You guys, I'm a fan first. I'm embarrassed to say, I guess, but I could talk about this stuff all day long. It's so exciting. Again, I just want to tell you, thank you for having me, and thank you for allowing me along the way. I can't wait to watch. You guys in Europe. I love where we're all at in our lives as happy and healthy adults and parents. Like, who knew 20 years ago we'd all be parents? And it's really remarkable to get to follow your success and to truly be friends with both of you, and to have your support in my life through, death and birth and all the stuff in between. So I cannot thank you enough for trusting me to come and, chit chat a little bit about something that I love. And clearly you guys love it too. And it's why I could continue talking all afternoon. So Thank you so much.
Love
You
you,
too.
Rachel Good.
I love you both so much, and you two look so beautiful. How do you not age? What's the secret? I can
Ring light.
hardly wait. A ring light. All right. Thank you.
I love you, Rachel Good in the Hood, and in the immortal words of every single conversation we always have, love you, love your work.
Love you. Love your work. Mwah. Love you guys so much.